I don't know what we're calling this. We are fast approaching the release of our latest album, Tin Man, and we're going to be playing live at the Mint here in Los Angeles on the 24th. And we thought it'd be a good idea if we just talked about what was behind some of the songs that are on the album. So I wanted to start with the first two cuts. Oh, by the way, I am. It's just delicious because I know what the album sounds like, and almost no one else does. I feel like I'm on the inside, and it's so good. I cannot wait for it to drop. Happy Juneteenth, by the way. So anyway, the first two cuts, at least as they are in my phone for viewing the tracks, are Civilized Man and Don't Worry Son. And Civilized Man I wrote up in Canada. I was doing a movie up there, and there's like a third AD. So you have the assistant director, very important, and you have the assistant director's minions. And there's second ADs, and they're pretty darn important too. And then you have third ADs, and they do a lot of the work, but they don't have a lot of power. But one of the things the third AD often does is corral the extras and tell them, okay, go over here now, go over there now. And this guy was just being really harsh. I'll say it. He was being abusive to the extras. And the extras have, an extra has almost no power on the set. And, if they wanted their pay for the day, they had to take it from this guy. And I asked him to please be a little kinder if you can. It was just upsetting to me to be around that situation. It was, it's not, it offends me, but also just it doesn't make it easy for me to work, easy for me to have fun when people around me are being abused. And he just wouldn't stop. And I finally went to his boss, the assistant director, and talked about it. And at that point, he started to try to find a way to mess me up, and it was a little tiny war for a while. And I ended up having fantasies of just choking him out, just beating him up. And I really thought about it, and I was thinking, I have these million-year-old voices inside me from the days before civilization that tell me that the best way to resolve a problem is to hit somebody. And these old voices, they don't serve me in a modern world. And sometimes they scream. And sometimes it's hard to be a civilized man. And the art of it is to not be ashamed of those voices, I guess. They're a reason why the species survived. I spent a long time being ashamed of them. But I don't have to be. I don't have to act on them either. And I didn't in this case, I didn't go beat anybody up. But that's where that song comes from. And then Don't Worry Son is a song that I wrote when I was on Buffy, actually. And Sullivan, who has quietly taken over the band in the last few years, guys, seriously, we don't make a musical decision without checking with Sullivan about what he thinks. He is a highly respected member of Ghost of the Robot at this point. He's 27 and he's just absolutely awesome. But this is back when he was quite young, and I had made a promise. I divorced his mom, and I had made a promise that I had read that kids from divorced families, if both parents are still fully engaged in the kids' lives, then the kids will be fine. That divorce doesn't scar them. And it's only when one parent is pushed to the side or decides not to fully engage for whatever reason that there's really harm done to the kids. So I said I'm going to call him every day, and I'm going to visit him every other weekend, and I'm going to be in his life all the time. And this was during the time when I was working 12 to 20 hours a day on Buffy. and finding time to call him once a day. It was really easy to say, oh, this day is off the hook. I do not have time to call Sullivan today. Also, he was pre-verbal in the beginning, and it was easy to rationalize, like, well, what's the use anyway? We're not really talking anyway. And it was really easy for me to think about, well, I'm really tired this week. It's probably not safe for me to go driving for 5.5 hours. Because I've said it before, but we would start work in the morning on 4:30 in the morning on Monday for Buffy, and we would get out when the sun came up on Saturday morning. And when you do that for months and months and 9 months a year, you get really, really, really tired, and it was very tempting. And then I read this book by the Dalai Lama, not to drop names. I don't remember anything about it except this one line, or this one paragraph, that he said that all of our lives were preparing for the moment of death, and that we should live our lives in a way that that'll give us a good death, so that we're not still angry at people, and most of all, we don't have a lot of regret about the actions that we took when we were walking around the world. And I thought about what kind of death I wanted, and I thought, I'm sitting in my trailer on Buffy, and I'm like, if I'm on my deathbed, old James Marsters, thinking about a television show, even if it's like a really good television show, and that's all I got to be proud of, that's only going to be so good. It may not be horrible, but it's not going to be as good as I hoped for. And what would I want? And I thought, well, if my son is grown and he's doing really well, and I know that I did everything I could to give him a chance at happiness and success, if he knows that I love him, and if I know that he loves me, and if he's there holding my hand as I pass, that's the kind of death I want. And it just kind of clarified everything. And after that, I really got into it. I was like, you know what? You can put any obstacle in my way. You can put a mountain in my way. You can put an ocean in my way. I'm going to get to my son. And the thing that happens when you drive on the highway and you're really, really tired and it's night, you know how they patch the highway with tar a lot, or there might be something going on, but for some reason, if you're really, really tired, you will hallucinate a black dog running right in front of your car, really fast. And if you swerve to avoid the dog, which is not really there, you will probably run off the road or run into another car and get into a huge accident, and people die because of hallucinating black dogs. And I'm riding down the freeway, and I more than once hallucinated a black dog, and I knew what was going on, and I was like, I'm driving. I'm sorry. I'm gonna pull over. I obviously need more coffee, and that's not going to stop me. And I don't know if that was completely safe, but I wrote a song about this idea of coming to visit Sullivan no matter what, and because this really, at the end of the day, was a song for him. How worth it was. How much fun I had hanging out with him. We had a little cottage on an almond orchard, and there were horses there, chickens, and I had 6 lightsabers hung up on the wall. And every evening, all the kids from the area would show up at our little cottage, and we would pull the lightsabers down and just tear around this orchard and the property. I was the bad guy, and they would just beat the hell out of me with lightsabers. And the thing is, when you have 6-year-olds surrounding you and they're all just pounding on you, and you're trying to block, if they're just wailing on me, and if I just bump one of those 6-year-olds, just slightly bump, it's just tears. So it was a bit of an art form, and I was glad for every bit of training I had with sword work, just to protect the kids. And we just had a fabulous time. We'd make big Lego structures and then play Godzilla and knock them down. We'd take smoke bombs and put them in the Lego buildings and pretend to burn them down. We made commercials, funny little videos and stuff. We just had a great time. And so I wanted to reflect that I am going to get to this little heaven cottage with you no matter what. So those are the first two songs. I'm going to continue and write about the songs that, talk to you about the songs that I wrote. Who knows, maybe we can get Kevin to do one. He's given us San Francisco on this album. I think we're also going to be doing Is Shoes, which is kind of a play on Issues, which he wrote the music for on a previous album. But he's dropped a really great song called San Francisco. And I don't want to talk for Kevin. He's busy. He's got two young kids. Sullivan has two wonderful songs on this album. Maybe he wants to talk about his. Again, I can't promise what they're going to do, but I'll be back for sure and talk about myself, my favorite subject. And just, what's kind of behind some of the songs that are on this album. Anyway, it was really good to be with you guys, and we'll do it again. Bye. And I don't know the button. What's the button to stop this? I don't really know. I'm going to have to turn my phone off. I just don't know. Let's try the X.